Hi, welcome to MBA Now. I'm Rob Van Raphorst. Here at MBA, we maintain robust working relationships with state and local associations. Today, we're joined by William Kooper, MBA Vice President of State Government Affairs and Industry Relations, to talk about MBA's state and local advocacy efforts and preview MBA's annual state and local workshop coming up at the end of June. William, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Rob.
In general, what is the relationship between state and local associations and us here at MBA?
Great question. There are about 42 state associations around the country. Additionally, there are a number of local associations and regional groups. They're all independent of MBA, and in some cases, the local and regional groups are independent of their state association. But many of them join us, and we work together in partnership. In fact, we have a phrase and sort of slogan in the community called "We Make Each Other Stronger." And what we mean by that is that just like the industry relies on MBA here in DC to represent our interests in Washington among policymakers on Capitol Hill and in the administration, our industry relies on our state and local groups to represent the industry's interests in state capitals and increasingly in county seats and municipal governments around the country. And that's a big role. I don't know if you know this, but for example, we're tracking about 8,000 different pieces of legislation in our MBA state legislative database at the moment. And not all of those are flattering to the industry. And so it's a big role, but it's also a unique value proposition and opportunity for our state partners, and we try to help them with that.
Right. So, William, what is MBA's State Relations Initiative?
Well, that's the strategy for that partnership and for realizing the power of the state groups. MBA's Board of Directors created that program in 2013, and they thoughtfully considered 3 different ways of partnering around shared interests. The first is advocacy, the second is communications, and the third is business development. We've always done a really good job on partnering on advocacy by leveraging all of the talent at MBA, especially the power of the Mortgage Action Alliance, which we can target towards state issues. But we've also created some new innovative communications tools which accomplish a couple of different things. One, it allows states to talk to each other all the time, and also allows states to give us feedback on ways to enhance the partnership. But it importantly gives me and our association staff here in DC ways of communicating out what we're doing all the time on behalf of the industry to state associations so they can brief their members on what the industry is up to in Washington, DC. And then thirdly, in business development, which is perhaps the most interesting and exciting part of the partnership, we've created some innovative new revenue share tools that states can participate in.
So lastly, we have our MBA State and Local Workshop coming up at the end of June here in Washington. What's going to be happening there, and what's sort of the logic behind having it here in Washington, D.C.?
Well, the workshop is where all of this comes together. For about a day and a half, we get not just the diversity of state groups coming to DC to participate in the workshop, but the diversity of stakeholders within the community. So those who are professional staff at state associations, as well as the volunteers in the officer corps of the different state associations, or just committee leaders, so a legislative committee chair, but also maybe their lobbyists at the state association, or just other stakeholders in the industry. Will participate. So if you have a state government affairs rep at one of our companies, they'll participate as well. And what we do is we spend about a day and a half of just focusing on the operational challenges that these states face. And what we find is that a state in one part of the country may have faced a problem and solved it that another state association elsewhere is struggling with. And so there's this rich diversity of talent and industry experience in the room, and we build as much time in for just open discussion and for opportunities for folks to talk about those particular challenges. And the hope is, at the end of the day, they get to go home with some real to-dos and success stories and best practices for how to address those problems that they've come to DC with. And the best part of this is that we aligned this about 4 years ago with our National Advocacy Conference, so that we then take all these great state leaders up to Capitol Hill with us so that they can either broaden and deepen their relationships with members of Congress or create new ones. And there's no better advocate for our industry's issues back home than those industry professionals in the district or in the state. And so that's a win-win, we think, for the industry.
Yeah, you know, the workshop really is a culmination of a lot of the hard work you do throughout the year. So thanks for coming by and talking about that and the other important work you do with the associations in the states.
You're welcome. Thanks very much for having me.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter at MBA Mortgage and like Mortgage Bankers Association on Facebook and Instagram.